All right. Greetings. Welcome back to Blackburn News, where everything is connected. How y'all doing? Good to be back in the regular seat today. I'm trying different things out, right? So hopefully you watched the show yesterday. Hopefully you enjoyed the show yesterday. I was trying to make some points. I don't know if I hit them all, but just trying to get an idea across. Oh, thank you, William and Osama and Denver. It is my birthday today. 10-4, good buddy. Yeah. So, gonna hang out after the show, do birthday stuff, eat food, eat cakes and stuff. Eat grapes on a chaise lounge while getting a massage. No, I'm not. I'm not going to do that. I think I might go on a bike ride with my kid. Something like that. Yeah, but good to see you. And let's get this rolling. We're live on Callin, Rockfin, YouTube, and Twitter. I probably could have figured out how to post my video yesterday to Twitter, but I didn't. So, but we're live on Twitter. If you want to watch on Twitter, go for it, dude. All right, I want to look at this. We're going to read this article together, and I haven't read it, but it looks very interesting, and I'm sure there'll be lots of commentary on this from this website that I've been reading a few things of recently, Indy.ca, Indica. That seems to have a pretty good, pretty good take on where human beings are at on the planet. I'm hoping we could do it like this. We could do it like this. I don't know. It's physics. What can I say? It's physics that makes sense. So. Oh, thank you. Thank you all. Thanks, Scott. How old am I? 57? No, I'm actually 56 today. You were very close. Andre. 56. And luckily I still feel like I'm 35. I actually feel better than I did when I was 35. At 35 was probably a low point in my life as far as health. And I started out when I was but a young buck. No, when I was younger, I felt really old. It's an interesting thing. I remember when I was, I don't know, 17, 18, 19, I felt really old. I already felt old as a teenager. Like I just felt very burdened and things, there was a lot of weight, emotional weight. And that just continued, and into my into abusing myself for like years, and I don't feel, I didn't feel really good when I was younger. I just didn't feel very good physically. I was not in a good space. mentally I was not in a good space. So I actually feel, I mean, light years better. I feel better and I think better. My brain is in a better space than I have ever been probably in my life. So I actually can't think of a time. If I look back, I can't think of a time when I felt more like together, right? So I'm gonna be super thankful for that because yeah. Andre says I was feeling really good at 56. Fast forward to 63, and the bottom has fallen out. Yeah. Well, there's always a chance for that too, right? I understand at 56 too. I am also entering the time of the great unknown, right? This is when you start feeling your age, you start getting health problems, and it's inevitable, right? People don't last forever. We're not built to last forever. We're built to eventually succumb. So, I don't doubt that there will be challenges ahead, and that's all right. That's what happens. I'm gonna ride it. I'm gonna ride it out. Judy says my 50s were my best years. I could still ride horses and hike. Yeah. CB says at 68 it just hurts. I'm sorry, CB. Yeah, it's funny. I I picked up some people the other day. They're elderly, running a business, and I'm sorry to laugh but it was actually humorous. But the lady all the way to the car was like, "Oh, oh." I was like, "Oh no." I mean, I did feel really bad, but it was also kind of comic because she was just, out loud just, "Oh, oh," and then both were getting in the car and they were like, "Oh, oh." And I was like, "Jesus Christ, this is what getting old is, isn't it?" This is what getting old is. So I got that to look forward to. All right. Anyways. But it was the audio of old age. It was literally just the audio track of oh, oh. Sorry. I mean, what is elderly, Andre? I mean, my daughter refers to me as an old man all the time. So, and what is it? Oh, I was reading a book a long time ago. And the opening scene of the book described the protagonist of the story as a young man of 50, and I was like, "Whoa, really?" Like the author described the character as a young man of 50. I was like, "Okay, okay, okay." Exactly, Scott. Elderly is mindset. Sure. All right. We'll circle back around to talking about age and birthdays and stuff later. Anyways, this is from Indica. How work overheats the earth. Posted on September 11th of all days. In physics, work is the energy. Oh, did everybody get their? Sorry, before I read this, did everybody get their alerts from FEMA or the National Wireless Broadcast? I don't know, whatever it was. Scared the heck out of me. And you know what they did? It's funny because they did it 2 minutes early. I was thinking about it this morning. I was like, oh, am I gonna like turn my phone off for this? And then they came on. It was like 2 minutes early. I was like, ooh, gotcha. They got him. Jazz Farm, happy birthday. 61. All right. I'm right behind you. Yeah. To the rest of my family who are mostly older, I'm a young man because a lot of my family is older than me. So anyways, Okay, let's talk about this. In physics, work is the energy transferred to or from an object. Not all energy can be transferred to an object. Some is. I hope Joseph is listening to this because I think this is right in his wheelhouse. Some is necessarily lost as heat. If we keep doubling the work we do every generation, a 2.3% growth rate, the waste heat boils the oceans in 400 years. I think he already covered this at one point. Work is thus not something to mindlessly maximize. It's something that has to be kept in careful balance with the object we live on, i.e. the planet. I can actually, though, relate this to how I feel, I guess, as I feel I'm losing a little bit of energy in my age, right? I'm seeing the importance of energy and how to conserve it and, use it wisely. Anyways, use that energy wisely. In common language, work is what humans do for a living. And as Anna Mercury says, citing Blink 182, work sucks. It's not just that the work sucks the energy out of you, it sucks energy and resources out of the planet. Ding. Mercury says we don't need to keep toiling to produce more. In fact, less toil, less work, less production, and less consumption are the only way we're going to continue surviving on this planet. As Mercury goes on, to fight global warming, we really need to chill. She continues, in the past few years, various environmental movements have begun rallying people around the slogan, do nothing for the climate. The idea is simple. We are killing our planet because we are doing too much. We are working too much, buying too much, producing. Has she been listening to this channel? Extracting too much, traveling too much, making too much, and overall doing too much. The best thing we can do for our planet is to slow down and do less. Consume less and share more. These are very important points. There is obviously some work that needs to be done, but capitalism seems to have incentives ass backwards. Under capitalism, raising children or caring for elders is worthless. Growing food and making things is brought as close to slave labor as possible. Essential workers are overworked and underpaid, and the most highly compensated people are rent-seeking shareholders and bankers. Simply not doing anything and not destroying the environment is oxymoronically considered a waste. As the Buddha said, viewing the non-essential as the essential and the essential as the non-essential, they, nourished on false thinking, do not arrive at the essential. Thus, we do not invest in the work we most need, and investors run wild doing useless stuff. These messed up incentives necessarily produce huge amounts of waste heat because it's mostly wasted work. It's no wonder we find ourselves on our asses after a few centuries of mercantile rule. Even before the second law of thermodynamics kicks in. Waste heat. The core reason for global warming is the sheer amount of work and energy we're dumping into the system. Yeah, so that actually kind of, and I've been saying this, a few other people have been saying this, but I haven't really heard it too much. CO2 is not the issue. CO2 is not the problem. CO2 is it's a misdirect in a way, right? I mean, people are arguing about plant food and CO2 and they don't even really understand, we're making it about emissions and CO2 and it's not, that's just a part of the puzzle. That's just one element, one aspect. Right? Because it's about a transfer of energy. It's not about, and if you're worried about pollution, but you're not worried about CO2, well, don't you think, excess CO2 is actually pollution? Burning things into the air on a mass scale might be a pollutant things, right? And so the CO2 argument is kind of it's a misdirect, and it's the wrong argument. And people who are arguing about it still don't understand the problem. The core reason for global warming is the sheer amount of work and energy we're dumping into the system. Fossil fuels are solar energy stored over millions of years that we're converting into work and heat in a few centuries. This necessarily changes the internal energy of the system, hence global warming. One important point here is that this problem is deeper than fossil fuels. It has to do with our whole philosophy of constantly doing more and more work. As physicist Tom Murphy says, one key aspect of this thermal radiation scenario is that it does not depend on the form of power source. It could, in principle, be fossil fuels, nuclear fission, nuclear fusion, or some form of energy we have not yet realized and may not even have named. Whatever it is, it will have to obey thermodynamics. Thus, thermodynamics puts a time limit on energy growth on this planet. The only slight exception is solar, but even that has physical limits. If we keep growing exponentially, i.e. doubling every generation, we run out of land for solar panels in 250 years. If we cover the oceans with panels and magically max out efficiency, we get only 400 years. Physics is a bitch. This is in many ways the central physical problem of climate collapse. As long as we insist on being more productive and working harder, the planet we're riding will collapse and die. But capitalism has no concept of working enough, and everybody is expected to work 40 or more hours a week regardless of what they're doing, and every company is expected to keep growing every quarter. Green capitalism is trying to solve this problem by switching energy sources when it really needs to switch philosophies. But this it cannot do, because the capitalism is more important than the green part. We also cannot follow the science out of this, because that is precisely the shovel that got us into this hole. Thank you. Wait, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Exactly. I mean, it's what I was saying yesterday. And most every day. It's technology is the weapon. We see it as the answer or a tool or something really cool, but technology is the actual weapon that is wielding the destruction, right? And so if we're going to, again, I love me some technology. I do. I really do. It's so cool. But we have to really think very hard about how we use technology and the scale, not just how we use it, the scale at which we use it, because anything on a certain scale will have massive implications. I was thinking about just that point yesterday after I posted the video, and thinking about the story of I can't remember the tribe, but there's an indigenous tribe in North America who this is centuries ago. I think that I read this in a Jared Diamond book, but I think that's where I read it. So this tribe learned or acquired the ability to grow corn. They did not have it before. They were hunter-gatherers, and then they acquired the ability to grow corn. Their population started, doubling, tripling, quadrupling, right? Because they had all this food. They learned that they maximized their ability to grow this, to store it, et cetera, et cetera. Then, a few years later, they had a drought, and they couldn't grow the corn. And so many people died that it was such a traumatic event that they decided not to ever grow corn again. That was their answer to that. And you might go, like, us now looking back on the story might go, well, they just didn't, they weren't evolved enough to figure out how to store it for longer, or how to switch their growing techniques, or right, their answer to this problem to the modern mind might look ridiculous, right? But think of the implications of that decision, though. Maybe that was the wisest decision, right? Because they saw, I mean, think about where we're at now, right? Their answer was stop growing so much food, or creating this abundance that will lead us down like the wrong path. So, to us, we might go, ha ha, ha, silly, indigenous people that couldn't figure it out. Well, where are we now? Where are we now? Now we're 8 billion strong and growing. So, and we're, right? We've figured out all these magical ways to grow all the food. And, how many people will tell you our biggest mistake wasn't technology. Our biggest mistake was agriculture. So, maybe after a long and hard think, this tribe, I want to say it's the Anasazi, but I don't think so. After a long and hard think, this tribe said, "No, we're not going to do this again." That was their answer, and might have been, might have been a really good, guide stone, I guess, if you will, for future humans. Hermans to think on. Oh. Anyways, let's keep going. Sorry for the interruption. Science is obsessed with publishing more and discovering more, and then using those discoveries for the military and the mercantile classes above all. Only later, when it's too late, do you get scientists feeling bad about it. But the problem is deeper than them. The problem is them also. It's a deep philosophical rot. That's why the climate is far too important to leave to climate scientists. You don't have to consider climate as something complicated. Only climate scientists can understand. The first and second law of thermodynamics are common sense. Work takes energy and makes you sweat, and that makes the room hot. Lighting shit on fire makes it hot. If you understand these basic principles, you already understand a lot. What we call progress out of a state of nature has actually been qualitatively shit. If you look at the fossil record, everybody's teeth and bones go to pot after agriculture, and even children got turned into machines with industrialization, as Mercury writes. Since the dawn of agriculture, when human society shifted to far more labor-intensive means of providing for themselves, we've been battling with the exhaustive amount of work we're told is required for our survival. With the Industrial Revolution came the mechanization of production and the social expectation that humans could work like machines. An impossible expectation that organized labor has been struggling against ever since. These qualitatively worse systems enable quantitatively more humans and corporations, or our actual overlords. No money, no problems, as Biggie said. As Mace added, now who's hot, who's not? We are now definitely hot because of the sheer amount of work and energy we've applied into our contained ecosystem. It has to heat up. You don't need a PhD for this. You can use the Khan Academy. This is why we need to take the concept of work literally and stop. We need a literal work-life balance between the work we do and the life forms on this planet, what Chinese people call tang ping, or lying flat, what Westerners call quiet quitting, and what Sri Lankans seem to do as second nature. We need to stop working so much. This is true on a personal as well as social level because it's so deeply true, as underlying physics and philosophy. Spending 40 to 80 hours a week away from our lives is not something we naturally want to do. Hunter-gatherers don't work nearly this much. As Marx said, every labor-saving technology is used to strain even more work from labor, to funnel more profit to the rent-seekers on top. And then these people take private jets to meet each other to ultimately do what? They're not even happy. The whole unhappy charade just leads to the heat death of the planet. We don't leave anything more than a tiny shit stain on the fossil record if we don't slow our roll and stop hotboxing the planet. Human culture, however, has a faux moral sense that hard work is important, but this misses the point of working for what? Work can be raising a child, caring for an elder, planting a tree, just sitting under a tree and breathing. It's perverse that we define ourselves by how useful we are to the one class of people, the capitalists, and consider the family and community something shameful that you do on your own time. This should be the center of life, not what you squeeze in when you get a break. The far more ancient truth is that you can have the dignity of work, i.e. follow your dharma, without it all being for the benefit of the mercantile class. More advanced civilizations regulated merchants to a lesser status because they were vulgar and annoying. We are ruled by them with predictable results. As the saying goes, what does it profit a man to gain the world and lose his own soul? You lose both in the end. You work so hard to make a better life for your children and grandchildren, and in the wastefulness of it all, actually incinerate them. Dang. That's rough, but true. Did I tell you all you can watch me on Twitter? You can watch me on Twitter. Or at least like up the video on Twitter if you're there. If you're of the mind. All right. Huh. All right. It's not that other ways are possible. Other ways used to be the default. We're the anomaly, as you can see from the climate correction. I've seen a more sensible economy when I went to Nilambe Monastery. There you do not have to pay. You meditate in the morning, do unpaid menial work around the grounds, and eat what people donate. Work is still done, but it's not so wasteful. The system is kept in balance. Or I've seen it in villages where people are poor and simply can't produce as much waste. These are not lifestyles this capitalist culture wants, except as a vacation. Ooh. Has this person been listening to my podcast? People are poor and simply can't produce enough waste. Ooh. Are you saying that being poor might actually be better for the planet? Ooh. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants to consider that. Nobody wants to think about, that's anti-human. They're going to take away your cars and take away all your stuff. I mean, maybe they do. And maybe maybe there is a big depopulation agenda. Who knows? But what I'm saying is there's wisdom in there. As I've said so many times, instead of exporting our way of living to the rest of the world, which is what we've been doing for the last couple of centuries, and and it's almost complete, right? There's nobody that's untouched by this way of life. There's almost no part of the globe that's untouched by this way of life. Almost no people, no tribe, that is untouched in any way by this, the way that we live. Instead of exporting this way of life to the rest of the planet, what we need to do is import those other ways of life or older ways of life where, subsistence farming. Yeah, oh, that looks like poverty, bro. Yep, sure does. Living off the land with very little. Oh, whoa. Man, that looks rough. Yep. It's going to be rough, though, when it's, there's no crops left to eat. That'll be super rough. You'll wish you had the 40 or 50-year lifespan to, hunt for food or grow, or pick, things up from trees or, grow things here and there and live a very simple life. You'll wish you had that amount of time. Let's see. These are not lifestyles this capitalist culture wants, except as a vacation, but given that this culture is overflowing its petri dish right now, it's where our ancestors are going to end up. Please note, however, this is not a call to planet-saving action. It's too little too late. We should have killed those mercantile fuckers when they got off the boats 400 years ago. It's far too late now. Corporations are the greed of the mercantile class made incarnate, and they've been running the show for centuries now. The motion of human beings and corporations is now as complicated, uncontrollable as the movement of the planets. We can observe it, but do little to stop it. Of course, everyone has their dharma to do, duty to do, but our collective karma is what we're just fucked. This is the Kali Yuga, and it just has to play out. If you're asking what you do personally, all I can say is do your dharma and try not to let Shiva's foot hit you on the way out. To return to the physics example, all of us carbon-based life forms are like gas in a piston to get all excited and move around, and that just increases the heat in the system. Then we apply fossil fuels or renewables to the system, and that only heats it up even more. Now the planetary piston is fuel injected and supercharged. As the economic engine compresses us into cities and corporations, the system inexorably heats up. We can't keep going like this, but at the same time we can't stop. The thing is just going to blow a gasket, turn into scrap metal, and our kids are going to have to get out and walk. We're aware the work sucks and that it sucks the life out of the planet, but we need to get back to the idea that Buddha espoused 2,500 years ago. The walker of the middle path talked about right livelihood. This is not about a lack of effort or doing nothing, but right effort and doing the right thing, which might be nothing. This is a philosophical concept buried deep under modern science and narrow Western philosophy, but it's there in a lot of philosophies, and also your heart. We don't naturally like this system, and we don't like working so much. We are sensing the deeper truth, such that even pop punk bands get it. Whatever we rebuild will have to be built around this more natural conception of work, or we'll lose even more of the natural world. If we want to stop healing the world at the most basic level, heating the world, sorry, not healing. If we want to stop heating the world at the most basic level, we have to chill out. All right. Did y'all enjoy that one? I did. I thought that was pretty good. I thought it was pretty good. All right, cool. We got a couple likes on Twitter. Nice. Try and get it out there. I know people are trying not to watch. Working hard, really working hard not to watch. Don't look. Wow. This is massive flooding in India going on right now, among other places. Update on the devastating flood in Sikkim, India. Heartbreaking. As many as 10 civilians have died and 82 people, including 22 army personnel, are missing after a cloudburst over the Lanak Lake in North Sikkim caused it to overflow, triggering flash floods in the Teesta River. A government official said 15 bridges have collapsed and over 3,000 tourists are feared stranded in different parts of the state. I just, to the people that who want to insist that this is all not happening or it's a hoax or a ruse, Consider the idea that it's not an either or thing, that it's this and that. Could be both things, right? Consider that idea. If only they turned the geoengineering off. No, I mean, consider that climate change is happening and geoengineering is happening. Consider they're both happening. Consider that, sure, there might be attempts by the powers that be to, create, make, control, or whatever certain disasters, for nefarious purposes, and climate change is also happening too. Consider that two things could be happening at once, or two things could be correct, or it could be a little bit of this, and a little bit of that. As they reference Buddha in the last article, the middle way. Somewhere in the middle lies the answer. Generally, somewhere in the middle. Things are rarely ever an extreme of like only this, only that. It's hardly how anything in life ever goes. And why it's such a weird, way to think about the world or people or whatever's going on. That this is all bad. These people over here are all bad, or these people are only good. All these people are good, and no, it's not. Most people are a mix of bad and good. They have their better moments, better shining moments, and then they can have some very, very selfish, self-serving moments. Yeah, I used to. Judy Truitt says the human mind wants to categorize stuff. I think I used to. I used to be a victim of the one. The one. I think that's that kind of mentality that wants to find the one answer, or we're always intrigued or by the one, one God or one way to live or one, And I was I was definitely like a believer in some, trying to find like this one path or the one thing or the one, And only until recently in my life did I realize that is, that's not, I mean, it's good to meditate or concentrate on particular things and get focused, but like, rarely is that ever the case in life, right? It's never one thing. It's never one way to live. It's like there's multiple ways to live. There's, you can use ideas from over here and ideas from over here and have a nuanced, personal way to like go through life, go to life. I don't know. All right. Where are we at? We are already kind of nearing the end of the show. But so glad you all could join me and hang out today. If you do appreciate the show and ways you can support, paypal.me/Kevin Sandbloom, Venmo @Kevin Sandbloom, Cash App @Red Llama Music, buymeacoffee.com/Blackburn News, and you can follow me at Blackburn News, the number 1 on Twitter. Or you can super chat me, super ray me, whatever. There are many ways. You can also support me on Patreon. while we're here, there were some other things to y'all. Kevin McCarthy ousted ousted as House Speaker. That's actually, I mean, something. It doesn't happen every day. And I love the verbiage around this. The right wingers, the super Nazis are kicking him out. Okay. They don't like people holding people accountable in positions of power, which is what basically this was. He had a hard time getting voted in as House Speaker, and then both of your cards were declined at Buy Me a Coffee. That's interesting. Huh. I don't know. That's not good. I don't know, Osama. Speaking of which, I don't even have the page up. Are they going to make me sign in? You might be interested to know, Osama, that I upgraded my Mac finally to Big Sur. I don't know if I'm going to regret that or not. So far, everything seems to be working. I actually had to upgrade it in order to get some video editing software to work. And we'll see how badly I regret it, but hold on one second. Sorry, guys. Didn't mean to. No. Stop talking to me, computer. I don't want to talk to you. Give me a moment, guys. Sorry. Don't mean to do this while I'm trying to do a show. Anyways, it seems like, Kevin McCarthy had a hard time getting elected as Speaker of the House. And then now he's not Speaker no more. Because the same people that held his feet to the fire to get him there were saying, like, well, you have not performed as promised. It's interesting. But that's actually what holding people accountable looks like. You may not agree with the you may not agree with the views of the people involved, or you may not even care. But it looks like somebody trying to exert some kind of checks and balances, which on a principle level I can appreciate. Yeah, well, again, I guess Osama, I can't upgrade to. I guess there are more recent operating systems than Big Sur, as I have gathered. So I don't think I can go past that. So that's also something too. Yeah, because when I did actually try to get some other things downloaded, they were like, "You need." Oh no, that's not nearly enough, sir. No, sir. But mostly the mostly the people in charge, the rank and file, are not into being held accountable, right? So they throw up their hands and, oh my God, This is the worst day in history. Oh, what is happening? I actually was listening to the guy from the Lincoln Project on Patrick Beck David was saying that uh, January 6th was worse than 9/11. But he was selling it. He was like, "Yeah, I'm selling this." This is interesting. What are the odds of 4 people all having their children working for Ukrainian gas companies? What are the odds? There are these people: Mitt Romney, John Kerry, Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden. What are the odds? Nothing to see here. We don't want anybody questioning that. We don't want anybody to bring that up in Congress or hold hearings. Ukrainian collusion. we don't want big old 2 or 3 year inquiries around what stock trades Nancy Pelosi and the former Dianne Feinstein and Mitch McConnell have been making for the last couple of years. We can't possibly have that. Because these people are the good people. Mm-hmm. I've seen so many posts on the Sphere in Las Vegas and how cool and or not cool it is. I mean, it looks amazing. It looks amazing. I don't know, man. I like to see bands in small venues, and I don't know. There's nothing like less fun to me than to see a band in a place that's so big that I'm just like can barely see them. Barely, they sound like they're in an echo chamber. I'm just not. I'm not a. I'm not a large venue / festival seeing bands type person. I'm just like not. But tell me if one of my favorite bands is playing in a small venue somewhere, a bar or something slightly bigger than a bar, and I'm totally there. But this is the Sphere in Las Vegas, which is a feat of technology for sure. Can you see this? I don't know. My computer is also slowing down. It's warm out here, but my computer is also acting very, very funny. Jacob Collier, yeah. Jacob Collier was just at the Hollywood Bowl, Osama. And he is good. He's really good. And the Hollywood Bowl is actually pretty great. We are lucky in LA. We do have some really great venues like the Ford is cool, but that's not the one. The Greek Theater and the Hollywood Bowl are like these outdoor venues that are really pretty awesome. And yes, you can be pretty far away from the band, but the surroundings are so great that it makes it a little easier to take. And you're really not that far away. Like, they're not so huge. They're kind of mid-sized. Yeah, I would compare like Hollywood Bowl, or the Greek is like Red Rocks size. If anybody has ever been to Red Rocks, kind of in that vein of size. But the Sphere is a concert venue where it's lighting up on the outside and on the inside. And, super cool, I guess. Ah. Oh, there's a couple more stories I wanted to hit very quickly. Actually, I might save these for tomorrow because it's already kind of getting late. I do have some other concerning stories about humans doing, not humans being, but humans doing, which is what we covered today. Oh, somewhere here. Yeah, my computer is moving really slow right now, so I think I need to wrap up the show because everything is slowing way down. I'll leave you with this. This is Steve Austin, the Bionic Man. And retweeting Noah Smith. I keep telling you, EVs are just gonna win. Here's Norway. I mean, it looks like they're winning. And Steve Austin says, I keep telling you, if e-cars win, we will all lose. E-cars in no way are compatible with the world as it exists today or going forward. Eh. But, until things kind of unravel and we won't be able to produce e-cars at scale, until we get there, they'll be really cool. And we've got a lot of e-cars coming down the industrial pipe or pike, whichever one you want. They're coming. Because there are so many Teslas on the road here in LA. I mean, and other Chevy Bolts and whatnot. I mean, they are everywhere. They are very popular. Very popular. And we don't even have all the charging stations set up yet. So I think a lot of people think that e-cars will be even more popular once we have, the charging infrastructure in place. And, of course, that'll make everything. I was doing some calculations on a battery-powered car or a Tesla or whatever. It's, so you're supposedly not buying gas, but you're buying electricity, which comes from, where does it come from? And even if it comes from solar panels, where do those solar panels come from? If it comes from wind turbines, where do those wind turbines come from? They come from somewhere with fossil fuels. But, I calculated that my electric bill would go up about as much as I would spend on gas. So it's like, oh, it's so cool and stuff in a really kind of roundabout way. Not buying the gas, but buying the electricity, which adds up to kind of about the same amount. I guess the best way would be to have some solar panels and have some batteries and some solar panels and charge your car from the sun. That would be ideal. That would be cheaper for sure, right? If you could charge your car from the sun, then you're talking a little bit of winning. But still. But still. Those things all got to come from somewhere, and they don't last, right? Oh, we're gonna build out all this electrified. I'm just being funny. We're gonna build out this electrified infrastructure. It's gonna take a whole lot of producing. And after 10 or 20 years, we're going to get it all in place. And then once we got it all in place, all the older stuff is going to start aging out. And then we're going to have to rebuild all the stuff maybe maybe it'll all work out. I don't know. I don't know. Denver Attaway asks, how well does your 4-year-old cell phone battery work? True story. And I've already replaced the battery I have a Prius. I've already replaced the battery in my Prius. It was a used, reconditioned battery. Still pricey. Still pricey. And my battery lasted a good long time. Like, the guy was surprised my battery had lasted as long as it did. Usually they go down at about 150,000, 200,000 miles. Hey. My dog is going ham on something. I don't know what. Yeah, mine lasted about 300,000 miles. More, 350,000 miles. And then I had to replace it. And don't ask me how many miles I have in my car right now. If I replace the battery at 350,000 miles. Some people might go, that's crazy. Why would you do that? Just get a new car. I like this car. Denver says, my point is, even if you calculate what you can to a penny, there will still likely be other costs beyond what you can calculate. Tow truck, due to battery, rental, due to car not charged, working or in working, right. Or right. Oh, yeah, guys. I think. I think that about does it for me. Thank you all for hanging out with me today. Just kind of chilling. Birthday day. Just kind of taking it slightly easy today. But I will be back tomorrow at the regular time. You know the deal. Be back tomorrow at the regular time of 12 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And until next time, peace.